Some people think their golf balls are the best.
7 irons, 7 irons, 7 irons.
Moe Norman became the exact problem the PGA establishment feared. Not a small problem, not a nuisance they could dismiss. A full-blown threat to the way golf was taught, sold, and controlled. And the strangest part, he was not trying to cause trouble. He was just trying to hit a ball. He was just trying to find peace. The establishment looked at him and saw chaos. History looked back and saw a genius. And the gap between those two views tells you everything. Picture this. It is the late 1950s. Professional golf in the United States is building itself into something polished and powerful. Corporate sponsors are arriving. Television is watching. The tour wants players who look the part. Pressed shirts, proper manners, a swing that looks like it belongs on a country club wall. And then here comes Moe Norman. Worn clothes, strange speech, a swing so wide and flat it looks like nothing any coach has ever drawn on a chalkboard. He stands far from the ball. His arms stretch out long. His club lines up with his lead arm, like one straight line from shoulder to clubhead. He barely stops to read putts. He plays fast, and he never misses. This was not what they wanted, and that, more than anything, is what scared them. Here's the central question this story keeps coming back to. What if the most accurate ball striker in history proved that golf did not have to be so complicated? What if the swing they were all selling was harder than it needed to be? What if one odd man from a municipal golf course in Canada quietly exposed all of it? Before we go further, drop a comment below. Do you think golf instruction has gotten too complicated? Do you think Moe Norman proved the experts were wrong? Let us know what you think, and if you are not subscribed yet, hit that button now, because this channel is for people who believe in mastering the basics and ignoring the noise. Murray Irwin Norman was born in Kitchener, Ontario in 1929. He did not come from privilege. His family had no money for luxuries. Golf was considered a luxury. That detail matters, because the game Moe eventually mastered was one his own family thought was out of reach for people like them. When Moe was 5 years old, during the Great Depression, he was hit by a motor vehicle during a sledding accident. He was dragged a long distance. A truck wheel ran over one side of his head. His family could not afford a hospital, so he ran home, and the injuries were never examined by a doctor. Nobody knows exactly what that did to him. But later in his life, medical observers speculated that the trauma, possibly combined with underlying neurodivergence, shaped who he was. He spoke fast and repeated himself. He had an extraordinary memory for numbers. He struggled deeply with social situations. He could focus on one task with an intensity that most people cannot match. His personal habits were unusual. He ate junk food almost exclusively. Fried chicken, spaghetti with meatballs. He drank enormous amounts of Coca-Cola every day, which eventually destroyed his teeth. He was not someone who looked after himself the way a professional athlete was supposed to. In 1996, he rolled his Cadillac DeVille into a ditch and had to be pulled out using the jaws of life. He later needed bypass surgery. His doctors, stunned by how well his body held up, described him as made of iron. None of this was performance. None of it was a character he had invented. It was just Moe, exactly as he was, unfiltered and unapologetic. And the same trait that made him socially difficult made him the most obsessive practitioner golf had ever seen. He found his way to Rockaway Municipal Golf Course in Kitchener as a young boy and started as a caddy. He never took a single formal golf lesson, not one. What he did instead was practice. From the ages of 14 to 19, he hit hundreds of balls every session. He practiced until his hands bled. He was not working from a textbook or following a coach. He was working from feel, from repetition, from the desire to understand what made the ball do exactly what he wanted it to do. What he eventually built was not a swing that looked pretty. It was a swing that worked. A swing built entirely on efficiency, on geometry, on removing everything that was not necessary. He called it his natural swing. The world would later call it the single plane swing. And it was this swing that changed everything. To understand why Moe's swing threatened so many people, you need to understand what it was replacing. The standard golf swing, then and now, is a two-plane swing. At address, you stand fairly close to the ball. Your arms hang down naturally. The club shaft sits at a different angle from your arms. That creates two separate planes, one at address and one at impact. Because those planes do not match, your body has to make a series of adjustments mid-swing to get the club back to the right place. You have to lift, rotate your hips, time your hands, manage your spine angle, and coordinate all of it in fractions of a second. That is a lot of things that can go wrong. Moe did something different. He stood farther from the ball. He stretched his arms outward. His club shaft lined up with his lead arm to form one straight line. What this meant was that his starting position and his impact position were almost the same. His swing moved on a single plane from start to finish. There was no puzzle to solve in the middle of the motion. Think of it this way. Most golfers are trying to find a position mid-swing that they were never in at the start. Moe started close to where he needed to finish. His swing was not about timing a complicated chain of movements. It was about repeating a simple geometric shape. The physical benefits of this approach were real and measurable. His wrists did not need extra rotation because his setup already put the club face in the right position. His club face stayed square for longer through the hitting zone. His wide stance gave him a stable base that barely moved. His spine stayed calm and steady throughout the swing. His pelvis did not jump upward the way it does in a conventional swing. It moved downward, which protected his lower back from the grinding stress that ends so many professional careers. Moe Norman was free of back pain his entire life. In a sport that regularly destroys spines, that alone is remarkable. The point is not that Moe looked normal. He did not. People watching him for the first time often laughed or winced. The point is that it worked. It worked with a consistency that nobody before him had ever demonstrated, and nobody since has fully matched. Now here is where the story gets deeper. Because Moe's swing was not just a physical method, it was a mental one too. Most golfers are outcome-focused. Every shot becomes a test. A bad shot feels like public failure. That feeling creates tension. Tension tightens the muscles. Tight muscles break the swing. It is a loop that destroys performance from the inside. Moe operated differently. He was not thinking about the score. He was not thinking about what people watching him would think. He was focused on geometry, on process, on hitting a specific position with the club. Each shot was not a social event. It was a task, a problem to solve with his body. Crowds made his life difficult. Social situations were painful for him. But the swing gave him something rare. It gave him a private world inside a public sport. It gave him peace. There is a comparison some writers have made between Moe and the Canadian pianist Glenn Gould. Gould eventually gave up live concerts entirely and retreated to the recording studio, where he could work without the pressure of a live audience. That isolation gave him freedom to do his best work. Golf had no recording studio. Moe had to perform outside, in the open, surrounded by strangers. So he created his own quiet world inside the swing itself. He was not playing for the crowd. He was not playing for the tour. He was playing to hit positions. That focus was his sanctuary and his protection. If you care about the mental game in golf, or in any sport, Moe's approach is worth sitting with. He removed fear from the equation. He removed ego. He removed the noise. And what was left was just the club, the ball, and the body. That simplicity, mental and physical combined, is what made him different from everyone else. Now let us talk about the real reason the establishment could not accept him. Golf instruction is a business. Golf academies, private coaches, group clinics, and weekend swing camps all depend on students needing help. And the reason students always need help is because the conventional swing is genuinely hard. It has so many moving parts that even skilled players constantly fall apart and need to be rebuilt. That is good for coaches. It means the revenue never stops. There is always another fix to offer, another adjustment to make, another problem to correct. Moe's swing challenged that entire system. His core question was almost reckless in its simplicity. What is the easiest way to hit a ball with a stick? If the answer to that question led to a setup that naturally returned the club to the same plane every time, then ordinary golfers might not need as many lessons. They might not need the same endless cycle of fixes. A simpler system meant fewer opportunities to charge for corrections. This was not a small concern. It was an economic threat dressed up as a stylistic disagreement. The equipment world felt it too. For years, the conventional wisdom was that steel shafts had to be heavy. That kept high-quality clubs out of reach for many recreational golfers. Natural Golf later worked with True Temper to build lightweight steel shafts designed specifically to support the single-plane motion. These were built for Moe's approach. They were designed to make precise ball striking accessible to regular people. That kind of democratization made the traditional equipment model nervous. Moe Norman was not just an odd swing. He was a vision of golf that was simpler, cheaper, and more available. In a game built on exclusivity, that was dangerous. Beyond the economics, there was the question of image. And this is where the story gets personal. Professional golf in that era wanted its players to look a certain way. The tour was building a brand. It wanted to appeal to wealthy suburban viewers, corporate partners, and country club culture. The ideal player was polished, dressed well, composed. Someone sponsors could put in an advertisement without embarrassment. Moe was a working-class municipal course golfer. He wore simple clothes that did not impress anyone. He played faster than the tour wanted. He sometimes walked up to his ball and hit his putt without stopping to line it up first. He was not trying to fit the mold. He never had. He entertained galleries by hitting drivers off tall soda bottles propped up on the ground. He would play par 4 holes in reverse, teeing off with a wedge and then using a driver to reach the green, and still make par. These things sound incredible when you frame them as skill, which is what they were, but the establishment saw them as embarrassing. They bullied him in locker rooms. They whispered about him. And then, in 1959, at the Greater New Orleans Open, they went further. Moe finished 4th in that tournament, a top 4 finish. That is not failure. That is excellence. But after the round, he was pulled aside by tour officials and senior players. They dressed him down. They criticized his clothing, his behavior on the course, his refusal to use a standard caddy, the way he carried himself. They made it clear that he did not belong, that he was a problem they did not want to keep dealing with. For someone who already lived with severe social shyness, that confrontation was devastating. Moe did not argue back. He did not fight. He quietly made a decision. He would not return to competitive golf in the United States. He went back to Canada. He spent the rest of his competitive career in Ontario, where people accepted him, celebrated him, and saw what he actually was. The PGA Tour had just sent away possibly the greatest ball striker the game had ever produced, and it did so to protect an image. What Moe then went on to accomplish in Canada and in exhibitions around the world became the stuff of legend. In one exhibition, he hit 1,540 drivers in just over 7 hours. Every single ball landed inside a target zone 15 yards wide. That is not a good round. That is not a hot streak. That is mechanical perfection, sustained for hours at a time. Over his career, he made 17 holes in one. He shot 3 rounds of 59, 4 rounds of 61. He made 9 double eagles. He set more than 30 course records. Tiger Woods, when asked about Moe, acknowledged him as one of the very few golfers in history who truly owned his swing. That is one of the greatest ball strikers the sport has ever produced, saying that Moe was in a category almost alone. In 1995, Wally Uline, the CEO of Titleist, signed Moe to a lifetime contract of $5,000 per month. Moe had played Titleist balls for 40 years, not because they paid him, because he chose them. That loyalty and that honesty over 4 decades earned him a quiet form of respect the tour had never offered. It was late, but it was something. The final chapter of this story belongs to science. Modern golf analysis uses high-speed cameras, 3-dimensional motion capture, and force plates to measure exactly what happens during a swing. These tools did not exist when Moe was hitting balls at Rockaway Municipal until his hands bled. But when researchers finally pointed them at the single-plane approach, what they found was remarkable. The swing Moe built entirely through feel and repetition turned out to be exactly what biomechanics says a swing should be: efficient, stable, repeatable, physically safe. Bryson DeChambeau brought this into the modern era in his own way. Bryson approached golf through physics and data. He extended his arms at address. He aligned his club shaft with his arm, just as Moe had done. He used single-length shafts across his entire set. He stood wider and used much more body rotation to generate elite power, which is different from what Moe prioritized. But the geometric foundation was the same. Arms out, shaft in line with the arm. A more stable and predictable impact zone. Moe used the geometry for accuracy. Bryson used it for distance and power. Both proved it worked. Steve Stricker, one of the most accurate players on the PGA Tour across 2 decades, also uses simplified, single-plane impact mechanics. He does not talk about Moe much, but the physics are the same. The modern tour now uses science to celebrate the same ideas the establishment once rejected as bizarre. So let us come back to the title of this video. Moe Norman became exactly what the PGA establishment feared. Not because he ruined golf, not because he was wrong, because he was right. Because he found a simpler, cleaner, and more honest way to hit a golf ball. Because he proved that good ball striking did not require a country club pedigree or an elaborate coaching system. It required understanding the club, the ball, the body, and the quiet inside your own mind. They tried to treat him like a problem. They pushed him to the edges of the sport and hoped he would disappear. Instead, he kept hitting balls until they landed exactly where he wanted. He kept showing up. He kept finding peace in the geometry of a motion that the experts said was wrong. History turned him into a solution. Moe Norman was not just an odd man with an odd swing. He was a genius who discovered a cleaner path through the most complicated sport in the world. He did it without a single lesson, without approval, and without an audience that was ready to appreciate him. He did it on a cold municipal course in Ontario, with bleeding hands and complete total faith in what he felt. That is what mastery actually looks like. Not perfect clothes or perfect manners. Just a man and a ball and a truth he found all by himself. Now we want to hear from you. Was Moe Norman the purest ball striker golf has ever seen? Leave your answer in the comments below. And if you love stories about misunderstood legends who turned out to be right all along, subscribe now. There are more of them waiting for you.